Banned by the Football Association, now he's unstoppable. Please subscribe. Episode 61. If there is a gold list in this world, take stock of the top 10 football training bases. Dortmund's Stobelleri Training Center is definitely on the list, even in the top 5. In 2005, CEO Hans Watzke took over at Dortmund and took over the £125 million debt. In order to save Dortmund, Watzke survived the debt crisis by taking out loans, negotiating sponsors, and selling players. And in order to restore Dortmund's glory, Watzke followed the idea of magic ball theory. Never spend a fortune to buy famous stars, screen potential low-cost players from objective data, and dig up buried talent. Then through scientific training methods, let these players who have not met talent shine as they deserve. While improving the team's performance, it can also sell some players to get funds, thus creating a virtuous circle. Later, Klopp, who was good at discovering talents, implemented this concept. Such a team-building idea has extremely high requirements for the standards of the training base and the quality of the coaches. Therefore, when Chu Xuan came to visit the Stobelleri Training Center, he couldn't help but feel a little emotional. This is probably the most advanced training base he has ever seen, with the best quality turf and the most comfortable environment. Compared with here, the training bases of the former National Youth League, Kinder Club, and Stokes Bridge are simply unbearable. According to Ian Greenham, Dortmund's training facilities in the future will not stop there. In 2008, the German Football Association and many institutions created a Footballnaut laboratory, which is said to use many advanced technologies to quickly improve the ability of players. The smash hit Hoffenheim has built such training rooms, and Dortmund are also bringing them in. Thinking about the training soon after, Chu Xuan, who loves football, is simply full of expectations. Ian Greenham next to him took Chu Xuan around and also noticed Chu Xuan's eyes. That passion for football can't be hidden. Ian Greenham couldn't help but nod secretly. It seems that there will be no mistake in his own advice. Chu does have the potential to be an excellent player. Jurgen these days. The head coach is not there, and the dormitory at the base is full. You can go to the host family first, and tomorrow the club will arrange a medical examination. Ian Greenham held up his glasses and said seriously. If you pass the medical examination, then the club will officially sign you. By the way, do you have a broker? Chu Xuan shook his head. He previously had an agent at Kinder. And this agent is very famous in the industry, Ujula Petric. Petric has cooperated with many domestic players, such as Chu Xuan, Chen Tao, Gao Lin, Wu Lei, Feng Xiaojian, and so on. He used to actively operate these players to play at Juventus, and even paid out of his own pocket to treat the injuries of Chu Xuan and Feng Xiaoting. Helplessly, because of the domestic football environment, no one was able to go out to stay in the ocean. Later, Chu Xuan was banned and lost the opportunity to play football, and Petric had no choice but to terminate his contract with him. Chu Xuan also completely became a free body. After understanding Chu Xuan's situation, Ian Greenham nodded. I will recommend some agencies to you, but it is not very convenient for the club to interfere in the personal affairs of the players, so you need to talk about it yourself, okay? Well, I understand, the club already takes good care of me. Chu Xuan had seen the cruel reality and seen countless cold-eyed opposites. The kindness released by Dortmund also made Chu Xuan feel that there was true love in the world. Help with accommodation, German teachers, agents. He also knows that these goodwill are all because manager Jurgen Klopp sees his potential. If you can't kick it out by then, these are mirrors and will be swept out at any time. Chu Xuan was not worried, he would prove his worth. When he walked out of the training base with Ian Greenham, Chu Xuan found that on the empty parking lot, a fat uncle with stubble was smiling cheekily at him. This fat uncle couldn't help but remind Chu Xuan of coach Steve Adams. This is Mr. Sebastian Hans, he is a die-hard Dortmund fan. Ian Greenham introduced. Hearing the news of your arrival, Mr. Hans volunteered to see you go home staying. At this time, Uncle Sebastian, who was about 50 years old, greeted him with a smile and said in fluent English. Mr. Greenham, Mr. Chu, it's a pleasure to come to my house for the night, your bag is not heavy, let me help you carry it. Thanks, the bag is not heavy. Chu Xuan smiled and said, Mr. Hans, I may have to disturb your house for a while before I find a place to live. It doesn't matter, you can stay as long as you want. Also, just call me Sebastian. Sebastian smiled and shook hands with Chu Xuan. At this time, Ian Greenham held up his glasses and said. Mr. Hans, then Chu will please you, I still have some work to go to work first. Chu, you can call me at any time if you have something. Ian Greenham left with a slight bow, and Chu Xuan and Uncle Sebastian drove home. On the way back, the two chatted casually, and Chu Xuan learned that the club originally just wanted to find a German teacher for himself. As a result, the German teacher's family learned of Chu Xuan's news and took the initiative to ask Ying to stay overnight. The two problems were solved together. Uncle Sebastian held the steering wheel and said cheerfully. Chu, you don't know, our whole family watched that match between you and Liverpool at that time. Simply wonderful. It was Chu Xuan's turn to be dumbfounded. You Dortmund fans, nothing to do and watch the FA Cup? Episode 62. Later, Chu Xuan learned that it turned out that the Hans family was only watching the highlights of the competition. Their whole family are die-hard Dortmund fans. Watching Chu Xuan play is just to familiarize himself with the characteristics of future Dortmund players. The Hans family lives in the Bracker district on the outskirts of Dortmund, close to the training base, and has been Dortmund fans for 3 generations. The 73-year-old Albert Hans was selected for the Dortmund youth team, but unfortunately failed to sign as a professional footballer. Sebastian watched the game with his father Albert since he was a child, cheering for Dortmund. Later, he met the current Mrs. Hans on the field, and the couple fell in love with each other and got married because of football. The Hans couple had a son and a daughter, and the son did business in the United States and did not return home for many years. The daughter works as a German teacher in Dortmund, and recently during the holidays, she was able to teach Chu Xuan German. When Chu Xuan arrived at Hans's house, their family was already greeted at the door. Mrs. Hans, like her husband, had a chubby physique and a cheeky smile. Their daughter, Anya Hans, is 24 years old, with a low brown one-sided ponytail tied in a bunch, which is naturally draped on her shoulders from the front, and has a feeling of Madame is Dangerous in daily comics. Thick black framed glasses covered most of her fair face, and she looked like a strict and staid teacher. The 73-year-old Albert was also a little blessed, a little similar to Sebastian, and said a few words of German to Chu Xuan with a smile. Chu Xuan didn't understand a word, so he could only nod and smile. Sebastian was a little helpless. Chu, my father is welcoming you for the whole family, and I hope you can treat this place as your home. Chu Xuan nodded with a smile. Thank you, I caused you trouble. No trouble, no trouble. Mrs. Hans is also fluent in English. If you are hungry, I will make you food. Her daughter Anna was very quiet and restrained, just nodded with Chu Xuan, and then turned and left. Under the leadership of Sebastian, Chu Xuan came to his own room on the first floor. Although there is not much space here, it is very clean and tidy, and the bedding is all available. The wall was unexpectedly plastered with posters of many NBA stars, Kobe, Matty, Jordan, and even a poster of Dayo. This is Hans's son's room. My son lived here before, he never came back, we cleaned up again, you can make do with it. Thanks, looks good. Sebastian was a little helpless, he's a basketball fan and he's not interested in football. As soon as I graduated, I went to Mailichen. It seemed that something must have happened between their father and son, and Sebastian was reluctant to say more. You rest first, I'll call you to eat later. At this point, Chu Xuan could be regarded as temporarily settling down here. On the second day, Chu Xuan did not let Sebastian drive it. He ran 6 kilometers on his own and arrived alone at the Dortmund club headquarters building, ready for a medical examination. After almost a whole day of physical examination, Chu Xuan walked out of the physical examination center a little tired. The specific results still need 3 days of evaluation, but Chu Xuan himself feels that there should be no big problem. The injury to his knee has been checked several times, and he has recovered well, and there is no hidden danger of recurrence. It's just that athletic ability has decreased and it is not up to the level before the injury. In addition, Chu Xuan's other indicators were perfect. All you need is the results, and when Klopp returns, you can sign the contract. So in the next few days, Chu Xuan learned German with Anya at home on the one hand, and contacted the agent on the other hand. It's okay for Chu Xuan to sign by himself, but it's too rare for a player like Scholes not to be an agent. Doing everything hands-on can also affect daily training and competitions. So Chu Xuan contacted the broker through the brokerage company information given by Ian Greenham in the past few days. Chu Xuan is not a well-known star in Germany, so the agency is not very interested in him. The contacts are basically rookie brokers who have just entered the industry, and their resources and operational capabilities are so poor. Just as Chu Xuan was busy with this, he suddenly received a call from Elena. Chu, have you been looking for an agent recently? Elena was straight to the point. How do you know? Chu Xuan was a little surprised. She seems to be quite aware of her own dynamics, and she almost feels like an illegitimate meal. But Elena is also very measured, usually does not put pressure on Chu Xuan, and will only chat with him when necessary, or give him some help. Sometimes even Chu Xuan sighed that this elf princess was too good at it. Humph. Elena on the other end of the phone smiled triumphantly, as your fan, of course I know. By the way, I have a senior agent here, very capable, strong brokerage company, do you want to consider it? Oh? Do you have such resources? Who is it? Chu Xuan didn't take it seriously either, and said nonchalantly. Elena's family is said to be in the financial industry, and its industries are mainly banks and securities companies. They have little to do with football. Unexpectedly, Elena said a name that surprised Chu Xuan. He is Ronaldo's agent, Cristiano Ronaldo, Marcelo, and Jose Mourinho. Mendes, Jorge Mendes. Episode 63. After negotiation, Chu Xuan finally signed with Mendes and became another new player under Mendes. At first, Chu Xuan just wanted to find a reliable agent. It doesn't matter if the fame is big, as long as it can make Chu Xuan worry-free. Later, under Elena's explanation, Chu Xuan still agreed to this plan. Compared to Pogba and Ibrahimovic's agent Raiola, Mendes is superior in status, fame, and ability. Due to the relationship between the fat man, Pogba, and Manchester United are very stiff and troublesome. And Mendes handled it well in every way. For example, Ronaldo originally planned to transfer in the summer of '08, or Mendes persuaded him to stay for another year and leave Manchester United with a high transfer fee after the contract extension. In this way, Mendes has a large commission, and Cristiano Ronaldo has left a good name in the hearts of Manchester United fans. So much so that after Cristiano Ronaldo returned to Manchester United many years later, he could still get the treatment of returning home. Mendes' resources and energy are very large, which can help Chu Xuan quickly increase his value and increase his business value. The income and net worth of his stars have also risen, forming a win-win situation. In the future, if Chu Xuan transfers from Dortmund, he can also operate smoothly. That's why so many stars choose to work with Mendes. Chu Xuan's unknown character would not have been noticed by Mendes, but for some reason, the other party took the initiative to contact Chu Xuan, and his attitude was very sincere. Therefore, Chu Xuan had his own agent. A few days later, Chu Xuan's physical examination results came out, and he met the standards of a professional player in the Bundesliga and could play. Just as Klopp also returned to the club, he personally called Chu Xuan to go to the club's office building to hold a simple signing ceremony. Chu Xuan took Uncle Sebastian's hitchhiker to the headquarters building, and Klopp was already waiting for him below. This was also the first official meeting between Chu Xuan and Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp, known as Uncle Scum by quacks, was not as well known in China at this time. He once led the small Bundesliga team Mainz to the Bundesliga, successfully held for 3 seasons, and is also a famous powerful coach. Klopp has the resolute face of a typical German, with messy stubble, and even glasses cannot hide his faintly plagiaristic temperament. Chu Xuan, it's nice to meet you, I'm Jurgen Klopp. Uncle Klopp warmly extended his hand to greet him, saying in English. To Chu Xuan's surprise, the pronunciation of Klopp's name was quite standard. He also reached over and shook hands with Klopp. At the moment of shaking hands, many pictures flashed in front of Chu Xuan's eyes again. Not again. Chu Xuan's heart froze. Unexpectedly, since predicting Vardy and Torres, Chu Xuan predicted Klopp's script again. However, this time the amount of information was a bit large, and Chu Xuan had no time to sort it out. Judging from the general judgment, joining Dortmund should be the right choice. It is enough to know this, and the rest of the information Chu Xuan can be sorted out slowly later. In just a moment, Chu Xuan immediately came to his senses and responded in German. I'm glad to meet you too, coach. Haha. Klopp smiled, it seems that your German progress is quite fast, is the teacher still satisfied? Chu Xuan instantly remembered Anya's unsmiling, but serious, and careful appearance. They are sitting in the living room teaching these days. Chu Xuan sometimes makes mistakes, and Anya is also very patient and quiet to help Chu Xuan correct mistakes. The teacher is very responsible, and I appreciate the arrangement of the club. Hehe, these are as they should be. Without further ado, let's go up and sign the contract. By the way, what about your broker? Klopp saw Chu Xuan coming alone, and he was a little curious. My agent is coming from abroad, just got off the plane, is coming from the airport, and maybe 10 minutes late. It doesn't matter, let's go up first, the reporter is already here, you guys talk first. Since Dortmund is officially signed, reporters from Dortmund's official website also need to conduct short interviews and take photos at the signing ceremony. Regardless of whether the player is famous or not, the minimum official announcement is an essential procedure. In the press reception hall of the headquarters, a reporter from the official Dortmund website briefly asked Chu Xuan. The two first chatted briefly and asked about Chu Xuan's personal non-private content and past experience. Then the reporter asked a routine question. Chu, may I ask if you played in the amateur league before, was there any pressure to play directly in the top league? There is naturally pressure, but I will prove with practical actions that the coach's vision is okay. So do you have your own goals for this season? Chu Xuan said confidently without hesitation, target? Naturally, it was to help Dortmund win the title. Then the reporter conducted a brief interview with Klopp, and then waited for the agent to arrive and prepare to sign the contract. In private, Klopp glanced at Chu Xuan with a smile. Chu, is your goal really to win the championship? So confident? Of course, I am a prophet. Yes, I'm sure the team will win the title in the next 2 seasons. In fact, in the 09-10 season, Dortmund were only 6th. It was not until the 10-11 season that Dortmund crushed the Bundesliga and won the title strongly. Since Chu Xuan himself has become a variable, he also wants to try to see if he can help Dortmund win the championship 1 season earlier. While the two were chatting casually, footsteps came from outside the hall. A middle-aged man in a suit and leather shoes with a slight quack atmosphere stepped forward boldly, followed by 2 young men who looked like assistants. Sorry, the plane was delayed, it was late. I am Jorge Mendes, Chu Xuan's agent. At this moment, Chu Xuan and Klopp were very surprised. Mendes actually came in person. Episode 64. With Mendes himself sitting down, Chu Xuan's signing ceremony was very smooth. In theory, the contract should be negotiated in advance, and the signing is just a show. But Chu Xuan's time to determine the broker was a little tight, and he simply determined the content of the contract on the spot. Fortunately, with Klopp's care, Chu Xuan's treatment can already be regarded as very conscientious. Chu Xuan is directly positioned as a first-team player, not a rotation player on the edge of the water cooler. It can be seen that Klopp hopes that Chu Xuan can really play a role on the field and help the team score goals. The team's top salaries are now Swiss star Alexander Frey and Egyptian star Mohamed Zidane. They both earn €76,000 a week. The other first-team main players are 46,000 yuan. And Chu Xuan's weekly salary grade is tentatively set at €25,000. However, after carefully reading the contract, Mendes proposed additional clauses. If Chu Xuan makes more than 15 appearances in the Bundesliga in the new season and scores more than 10 goals, his weekly salary will be directly adjusted to the main 46,000 level. And the goals, assists, and winning bonuses are all in line with the main striker. If more than 20 goals are scored and the number of starts is at least 25, the new contract standard can be met. At that time, Chu Xuan's weekly salary will be at least €76,000, and he can even get a higher income according to Chu Xuan's performance. In short, the contract Mendes fought for Chu Xuan was definitely far more than his apparent value. Although this is the first meeting between Mendes and Chu Xuan, this agent predator in European football actually believes in Chu Xuan's ability so much. Even Klopp's heart was inevitably a little shocked. Chu Xuan, does this guy have any connections that can't be made? Even figures like Mendes fought for him like this. On the surface, Klopp naturally did not show any flaws, he just smiled, and then asked the staff to come with another contract. Yes, Klopp has already made a different plan. I didn't expect to use the highest level contract this time. He looked deeply at Mendes, then at Chu Xuan, and handed the contract over. There were no problems with this contract, it was entirely a condition proposed by Mendes. After the two assistants checked the details of the terms and the legal risks, Mendes nodded to Chu Xuan. Next, under the witness of the reporter's camera lens, Chu Xuan and Mendes completed a simple signing ceremony. The smiles of Uncle Scumbag and Chu Xuan were also frozen at this moment. No one would have predicted that this photo would be widely circulated in the future and quoted by various media. After the signing ceremony, Mendes was busy and he had to leave in a hurry to fly to England to deal with the transfer of Cristiano Ronaldo. Before leaving, Mendes patted Chu Xuan on the shoulder and handed him a business card. "Young man, it was my phone call before. If you want to contact me directly, you can call this. Come on and good luck." Mendes came and went in a hurry, and Klopp and Chu Xuan looked at his back and were silent for a moment. Then Klopp smiled, and then said seriously, "Chu, I'd better give you a preventive vaccination in advance, and my words may be difficult to accept next." Chu Xuan nodded indifferently. "It's okay, you say it, coach, I already understand what you have to say." Klopp glanced at him approvingly, and then said, "To tell you the truth, at the beginning of the season, you were not in my main squad, and you may not even be able to make the squad. But you can also see from the contract that we didn't make a hasty decision. I've been following your development since '05 and think you can reach a high level. So, you probably don't have much vacation in the pre-season period, and I'll train you specially. Then when the season starts, you need to prove that you are worth playing through your training performances. At the right time, I will send you on the field. There won't be too many opportunities, the window is short. If you can't take advantage of these opportunities then, I'm sorry, Chu. I'm afraid that when the time comes, I will support you, and the fans, owners, teammates will not support you. You understand all this? I am a person who pays attention to speaking directly, and I have made it clear in advance, so as not to make misunderstandings when I get it." Klopp said a lot in one breath, and Chu Xuan listened quietly next to him. Without showing anger, worry, dazedness and other emotions, his eyes were still clear and deep. When Klopp finished speaking, Chu Xuan smiled faintly. "I know, coach. So, I will prove myself with practical actions. I also believe that when the time comes, I will win the opportunity." At this time, the big stone in Klopp's heart fell. He was afraid that Chu Xuan would be young and frivolous, or that he would have some knots in his heart that could not be solved after sinking for a long time. Now it seems that Chu Xuan can see through more than he thought. Although he had just turned 20 this year, Chu Xuan's mentality was already like a senior full of wisdom. "Well, nice cooperation. Nice to work with." When the two shook hands, Chu Xuan saw part of Klopp's prophetic plot again. He almost wanted to blurt out and describe to Klopp the Boswatska's later troubles. But after thinking about it, Chu Xuan still gave up. There are still 6 years to go before Klopp and Dortmund break up. The devil knows what will happen then. At least in the future, the relationship between the two is not bad, and Dortmund is moving upwards. This team is about to become a yellow youth storm. Sweeping Europe. Episode 65. System upgrade. Start getting stronger from Dortmund. In the summer of 2009, the biggest news in European football was the phrase Hala_Madrid. Manchester United star, Sir Alex Ferguson's highly anticipated Cristiano Ronaldo officially transfer. He will transfer to La Liga giants Real Madrid for €94 million in the world. As the outside world said, since winning the Champions League at Manchester United, he wanted to cheer up and defend the Champions League. As a result, at the recent Olympic Stadium in Rome, Ronaldo failed to get his wish. Manchester United, the strongest, lost 2-0 to Barcelona. Messi is in the limelight, overpowering Ronaldo for a while. Since then, Barcelona has opened the legendary Dream 3 dynasties, crushing all of Europe with advanced tiki-taka. Looking at the back of Messi and teammate Beju, Ronaldo also planted the flame of revenge in his heart. He has always been a competitive person, and no one can be stronger than him. No one they can steal his limelight. If there is, then beat him and steal the limelight back. Since then, Ronaldo has completely strengthened his determination to go to Real Madrid. Maybe in La Liga. You can go head-to-head with Messi. Hit when you see it. On the pitch, of course, in the way of football. This scene also marks the era of peerless double pride in football, entering a new episode in salary. According to the original plot, no matter how strong others are, they are always a notch behind Mero. In 10 years, no third person in the world could threaten them. As for Chu Xuan, he is currently still undergoing pre-season training at Dortmund. Dortmund in the new season has undergone significant personnel changes. Basically, the main position has been changed by Klopp. Hummels joins for €4.2 million and will form a defensive barrier with Subotic. Aggressive and wide-ranging defender Sven Bender joined, and Dortmund's midfield was strengthened. Paraguayan star Lucas Barrios also has a transfer fee of €4.2 million. The tall striker is a small star in South America and the top scorer in the Chilean league, with all-round ability and excellent technique. He was Klopp's intended striker of choice. There is also former Dortmund Academy player Kevin Gross-Krutz, who also returned to Dortmund in the summer. He is an all-rounder up front, tough in style, well-rounded in technique and a strong sense of teamwork. The player, nicknamed Grand Cross, is an excellent addition to Klopp's squad for the new season. In addition to these players, head coach Klopp originally wanted to bring in a Bulgarian striker Dimitar Lungarav. Since he signed Chu Xuan in advance, Klopp thought about it or gave up, and the forward position was enough. He even sold last season's main striker Alexander Frey to balance expenses. Even in addition to the first-team striker, the 17-year-old talent of the youth team, Mario Times Goats can also be promoted. Now the average age of the whole team is only 24 years old, which is definitely a storm of youth in the Bundesliga. Klopp is confident about the new season. It's the height of summer. On a clear morning, the sun shines unreservedly across the earth. At the entrance of the Storbergerie training center, Dortmund stars have also arrived by car. After a long vacation, some of them went to the beach for vacation, some mixed in the major nightclubs, and some accompanied their relatives at home. Now, they are all returning to their role as players and participating in the preparation for the new season. Last season, Borussia Dortmund finished 6th, were crushed by Hamburg and didn't even get a place in the Europa League. Klopp has given an ultimatum early this season, and their goal is to finish in the top 3 in the Bundesliga. At least get a Champions League spot. The team has made important additions, and Klopp also hopes that the original players will work harder. In the parking lot, the main left-back Schmelzer and captain Sebastian Kehl met and walked side by side towards the base. At this time, a familiar Volkswagen car stopped in front of them. Then they saw a familiar face, the Grand Cross Gross-Krutz, who had been partnered. "Your boy is back. Of course, my heart always belongs to Bumblebee. Come on, I haven't been pulled back by the coach. By the way, it is said that in addition to you, several people were signed in the summer. I heard there was a clay striker who was an amateur in England before." Hey! The straight-talking Gross-Krutz froze. Mud country players? Or signed from an amateur team? He has a relationship in management, right? Gross-Krutz, such a straight-tempered German, looks down on going through the back door. Schmelzer, who was next to him, pulled down the sleeves of the Great Cross. "Don't say that! Don't say that, he seems to be favored by Coach Klopp, not through the back door." Then why? A few people came to the training ground while talking, only to hear broken. From time to time inside. Broken. Broken. Of ringing. They immediately fixed their eyes on the fact that there was already a player practicing on the field. It looks like a young man from a muddy country. The three looked at each other and said "Cao Cao, Cao Cao" had already arrived. They arrived at the training ground half an hour early, already early enough. This mud country man seems to have been practicing alone for at least 1 hour. Captain Kehl couldn't help but sigh, perhaps, that's why the coach signed him. Time flies by. The 2009-2010 Bundesliga season played 2 rounds, and Dortmund's results were not satisfactory. In the first round of the Bundesliga, Dortmund beat Cologne 1-0. Everyone thought that the new season of Dortmund was about to set sail. According to a survey by German media, 20% of fans are optimistic that Dortmund will overturn Wolfsburg and Bayern to win the title this season. As a result, in the second round, Dortmund came to punch him in the face. They were bloodbathed 4-1 away by Hamburg and lost their first defeat of the season. Subsequently, not only head coach Jurgen Klopp, but almost the entire team was sprayed beyond recognition by angry fans. What the back line is all sieve, the coach blind halberd lined up the troops. No control in midfield. The worst sprayed were the strikers. Of course, Chu Xuan was certainly not among them. He wasn't included in the squad at all for 2 games. The starting strikers in both rounds are Paraguay's forward combination, with Barrios, a new addition this summer, and veteran goalscorer Nelson Valdez. Everyone thought that 2 Paraguayan compatriots could cooperate tacitly and form a striker partner. As a result, in the 2 games, the positive printing striker did not score. The first goal was scored by an own goal from the opposing defender, and in the second game it was scored by a header from central defender Subotic. The 2 strikers missed countless chances, and Klopp did not make substitutions. This is one of the reasons why fans are angry with Klopp. Sebastian Hans's family cursed while watching the game. What is Jurgen doing with these two spicy chicken strikers? Chu, if you play, you can score a few more goals. Chu Xuan did not enter the squad. Of course, there is no need to follow to the away game. He and the Hans family sat in front of the TV and watched his team get pierced by Hamburg 4 times. The 73-year-old man Albert Hans was even more angry and blew his beard and glared. I'll go downstairs at the club another day and tell him to give up those 2 strikers quickly. Mrs. Hans was a little helpless, but her daughter Anya said calmly, Chu is not suitable to play now. Uncle Sebastian was stunned when he heard this, and couldn't help but reprimand, Renjia Chu is still here, he is very strong, why is it not suitable? Anya pushed her glasses and said calmly, the club has made a big adjustment in the summer, many newcomers have come late, and there is not enough time to run in the new season. Klopp is a bit adventurous, directly using a lot of new people, and it's normal for the team to be inconsistent. Coupled with the origin of Chu's amateur players, you may not get too many opportunities on the field. If he forcibly pushes Chu on the field, he will have to bear all the pressure. Anya paused and sighed softly. I know that Chu is very strong, although Klopp knows, he is not 100% sure, so he is still protecting Chu and waiting for the moment. Timing. The Hans family was a little puzzled. Chu Xuan felt something, but he didn't speak, just listened to Anya continue. Yes, timing. When the team's problems are exposed, let Chu deal with the problems. Is that so? The Hans family is a little skeptical, and her daughter may have taken a philosophy course in college to study stupidly. Her words have always been a little confusing. But one day in the future, she suddenly pondered, as if she had a point. As for Chu Xuan, he didn't care. The manager sent him on and he went up to score goals and win the game. Without pulling him into the squad, Chu Xuan trained hard and tried to give his best condition every day. If other players encounter this situation, they will inevitably be anxious. Some players may even have a breakdown in their mentality. But Chu Xuan is different, he has the biggest secret, an unknown secret. That was his dream-chasing plan, which has finally changed. To be precise, since he officially registered with the DFB as a Borussia Dortmund first-team player, he has been waiting for the system prompt. Ding! The dream-chasing plan has reached the upgrade conditions and is being upgraded. Upgrade the current version of Dream Plan 2.0. Character menu unlocked. Skill menu, unlocked. Dream Store unlocked. Ding! Gain free skill points, 1. Ding! Earn dream points, 10,000. Dream point balance, 52350. At this moment, the originally empty screen instantly had several more options. Chu Xuan clicked to view the character menu in order. Immediately, a 3D model of himself appeared on the screen, and various ability indicators were displayed next to it. Role, Chu Xuan. Age, 20 dominant foot, right. Ability evaluation, positional sense A, shooting B, speed D times, dribbling CT pass C1, defense D. Skill modules, Fox LV. Max in the box, causal law shot LV. Club, Borussia Dortmund national team, none. Note 1, times indicates that it cannot be improved due to health status. Note 2, changes in various hidden data indicators will affect the capacity evaluation. There was not much information in the personal status bar for the time being, and Chu Xuan glanced at it and didn't care. The most important thing is that on your own 3D character model, there is also real-time health monitoring. For example, head, health, torso, health. These healthy places are marked in green letters. And the knee of Chu Xuan's right leg is a scarlet hint. Crossbelt, damaged, reparable plus. Since the moment the operation was completed, Chu Xuan's heart rarely had such a shock. Fixable. My legs are still saved. End. Episode 66. The fourth shot must be scored. I am Ember. Chu Xuan still clearly remembered that after the successful operation of his cruciate ligament, the first thing to recover was to ask the doctor, can I still play football in the future? The doctor's attitude was very firm, no. If you do not want to be disabled for life, it is recommended to give up professional football. But Chu Xuan's attitude is very resolute, as long as there is one point of hope, he will actively cooperate with the treatment. He just wants to play. Later, the doctor was impressed by Chu Xuan's attitude and agreed to Chu Xuan's rehabilitation plan. Chu Xuan endured the unbearable pain of ordinary people every day, and he wanted to move as soon as possible and run as soon as possible. Even every time he just tried to stand up, he would break out in a cold sweat of pain. These Chu Xuan can grit their teeth and insist. The only motivation that supports him is to stand on the field and win glory for the country. Unfortunately, later he lost his proud weapon and was swept away by the Football Association, and he lost everything. When Chu Xuan came to England to play, he had even accepted his fate. Even if you can no longer run like you once did, you can no longer enjoy the galloping wind, and you can no longer complete the pendulum change direction. He will also persevere on the road of football. He can still shoot, he can also score. But in the darkness of despair, you can even see a faint light. Crossbelt, damaged, reparable plus, reparable. Chu Xuan saw the reparable option, and it was no longer difficult to suppress his mood, and subconsciously clicked the plus symbol next to the prompt. Repair requires the consumption of health recovery card, X1 does not currently have related items. Recovery card? Prop? Chu Xuan rarely had some emotional ups and downs, and he tried to regain his former calmness. Immediately after that, I remembered the dream store. Who else but the store? The dream store module was unlocked, and Chu Xuan immediately clicked on it. When you come to the shop, you can see 2 areas resident items. Prayer for Kubukuro. Chu Xuan's heart sank, and he clicked into the resident props first. Sure enough, according to the urine sex of other card drawing mobile games, there is really nothing useful in it. Stamina elixir, small. Instant recovery of 10% fitness, per game. Limited to 1 use, price, 1000 dream points. Stamina elixir, large. Instantly regain 50% of fitness, limited to 1 time per match, for 7000 dream points. Recovery elixir. 50% fitness recovery after the race, limited to 1 time per week, for 5000 dream points. Injury-free talisman. Withstand 3 serious injuries and sell, 10,000 dream points. Other than that, it's gone. Chu Xuan's heart suddenly sank, and the previous joy also faded a lot. Theoretically irreversible injuries really cannot be easily repaired. He looked at the prayer blessing bag area next to him, and as he expected, the interface was also very simple. Prayer for Kubukuro times 1. Prayer for Kubukuro x10. Single draw is 1600 points, 10 consecutive draws 16,000 points. Chu Xuan looked at the 52,350 points in his pocket, and he waved his hand without hesitation. 10 consecutive draws. Ding! Get stamina elixir, small, x5, normal. Ding! Get speed potion x2, rare. Speed elixir, 200% faster after use, limited to 1 time per match for 15 seconds. Ding! Get a injury-free talisman x1, rare. Ding! Obtain the skill card Pay Arc LV.1, legend. Ding! Gain power potion x1, rare. Speed potion, 200% increase in strength after use, limited to 1 time per match for 15 seconds. Unfortunately, this wave of 10 consecutive draws failed to draw the health recovery card. The first wave of 10 consecutive draws withdrew gold. It seems that Chu Xuan's face is not too dark, and he actually won the famous Pay Arc? Does this mean that long passes and free kicks can be greatly improved in the future? He is a point-grabbing striker, and his long pass may not be used much, but he has free kick opportunities and can superimpose more shooting buffs. It still works quite well at critical moments. Since this is the case, Chu Xuan glanced at the dream balance, gritted his teeth and came another wave of 10 consecutive draws. It's a pity that this time his face is darker. Ding! Obtain stamina elixir, small, x9, normal, ding! Get boots x1, epic. Control boots, equipable, plus 15% ball sense. Unfortunately, I still couldn't draw the card I wanted. When Chu Xuan gritted his teeth and wanted to extract, he received a hint. The number of prayers this month is used up, 0/2. Shocked, only smoke 2 times a month? If this were a game, it would have been blocked by angry players. Fortunately, Chu Xuan's mentality had already been tempered, and he quickly calmed down. Since there are props such as health recovery cards, different items can be drawn in the prayer. That is to say, as long as you insist on drawing cards and insisting on saving points of chlorine, sooner or later, your legs can be restored as before. Since there was hope, Chu Xuan was not in a hurry. Anyway, after waiting for so many years, do you care about waiting a little longer? So he first equipped his sneakers, and the 3D character model had a pair of red boots on his feet. He then used the skill card Pay Arc LV.1. At this moment, Chu Xuan found that his brain was a little trance, and then it seemed to have more memory fragments and instincts. So, is this the Beckham experience? Since Chu Xuan's dream-chasing plan was upgraded, his mentality has become more calm. Daily training, in addition to accumulating points ranging from 10 to 100 points. You can also boost your hidden data. For example, in the separate special training before the season, Chu Xuan's dribbling and passing evaluation has risen by 1 level. From failing D grade, he rose to C class, where he could barely get a foothold in the Bundesliga. As long as you train hard, you can also become stronger. So in the first 2 rounds of the Bundesliga, Chu Xuan did not enter the squad, he was not in a hurry, but trained hard. Chu Xuan's attitude also gradually impressed these Dortmund teammates. At the beginning, everyone saw that he was an Oriental who came out of the amateur league, and they basically disdained Chu Xuan. Except for Captain Kyle, no one took the initiative to speak with Chu Xuan. During the team's training matches, few people would feed Chu Xuan. Later, everyone found out that Chu Xuan's hard training was not pretending, this kid was really ruthless to himself. The first to come and the last to go every day. I even heard that he didn't buy a car and went back after training. And in the team training match, Chu Xuan passed several fairy balls, completely impressed these high-ranking teammates. In addition, he became more and more proficient in German, and the relationship with his teammates gradually improved. Except for that eccentric big cross, Grosskreutz. After returning from an away game in Hamburg, the Borussia Dortmund players started a new day of training. Chu Xuan was still the first to come to the training ground and began his special training. Ding! Daily training routine, get 100 dream points. In addition to basic strength, touching, passing, and shooting training, Chu Xuan added a new free kick training. After these 2 days of research, he found that skill cards can only be upgraded with skill points. Forbidden Zone Fox LV.max is full level and cannot be upgraded. Causal Law Shot LV.1 and Pyre Arc LV.1 are okay. Of course, the most important thing for Chu Xuan now was the Causal Law Shot, so he decisively used the only skill point. Ding! Causal Law Shot upgrade successful. LV.1 LV.2 Causal Law Shot LV.2, 0/4. It's done. Now it's the 4th shot. LOL's Hero Ember, the 4th critical attack of the general attack? There is a feeling. It seems that it is only 1 chance reduction, but in fact, Chu Xuan's goal efficiency has increased more than twice. Unfortunately, there are no other skill points for the time being, Pay Arc LV.1, put aside for the time being. Of course, through Chu Xuan's several free kick practices, he found that only the level 1 Pay Arcade had a high success rate. Jean, who can't play free kicks at all, instantly has the strength of the free kick master of the middle and lower teams. Borussia Dortmund's free kick is now headed by Nuri Sahin. There is a chance that Chu Xuan would like to compete with Sahin for a free kick and determine what the current pay arc is. Just as Chu Xuan was practicing free kicks, someone came from the training ground. Grosskreutz carried his bag into the door, and sure enough, he saw the Oriental man practicing hard. Shout, still want to practice free kicks? Let's lay the foundation first. He snorted disdainfully, and deliberately amplified his voice for Chu Xuan to hear. Grosskreutz can't understand, why can this Oriental from the amateur team be directly signed into the first team? And his own roots are Red Dortmund's youth training, but they have to be gold-plated with other small teams and are only now recruited into the first team? Is he similar to this amateur player? Stop being funny. With such a mentality, Grosskreutz held great prejudice against Chu Xuan. Even if the other teammates gradually recognized Chu Xuan's strength, Tai Cross is still unmoved. Good at running and grabbing points equals blind cat encounters dead rats, and scores goals in various tricky methods equals Oriental mysterious witchcraft training hard equals pretending. In short, until now, Grosskreutz will not take the initiative to pass the ball to Chu Xuan. Chu Xuan, who was training on the court, also heard this guy's words, and Chu Xuan barked like a passing dog and ignored it. Captain Kyle also witnessed the scene just now in the back. He shook his head helplessly and came to Chu Xuan's side. Chu, don't go to your heart, that guy from the big cross is a pig. If only you were familiar with it, he was actually righteous. The atmosphere in the dressing room is important, and as captain, Kyle has a responsibility to maintain teammates. Chu Xuan smiled faintly, "Don't worry, Captain, I won't go to my heart." Kyle breathed a sigh of relief and patted Chu Xuan's shoulder. "Recently, everyone has seen your efforts, and so have the coaches. I'm sure you'll get a chance to play." I trust the coach." What others thought of him, Chu Xuan couldn't care. He understood that only achievements on the face of the face could silence skeptics. All he can do now is accumulate strength, wait for the opportunity, and soar into the sky. Episode 67. Ordered in danger? Bundesliga debut against Bayern. In the first 2 rounds of the Bundesliga, Dortmund won 1 game and were then humiliated by Hamburg 4-1. Originally, fans and media expected Klopp to make adjustments, but after 2 rounds, the lineup remained unchanged. In the third round of the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund were forced to draw 1-1 at home by Stuttgart. Paraguayan striker Barrios, bought for €4.2 million, finally scored a goal. But from a process point of view, Dortmund's attack is still somewhat weak. Many times, it is clear that opportunities have been created, and neither of the 2 strikers can seize it. In the fourth round of the Bundesliga, Dortmund went 3 consecutive games without a win, and they drew 1-1 away at Eintracht Frankfurt. This time it was defender Hummels who took advantage of a corner kick to head into the net. After 4 rounds in the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund's striker scored only 1 goal. In these matches, Chu Xuan still did not wait for the opportunity to play, and he was not selected in the squad. The Hans family is about to become Klopp's enemies, but Chu Xuan is still not in a hurry. He feels that in the next German Cup, he may be able to get the opportunity to play. In the first round of the German Cup, Chu Xuan was indeed selected into the squad. The Hans family was very happy, and even Anya, who usually did not smile, rarely smiled. At the dinner table on the eve of the game, Sebastian ate roast pork knuckles, drank beer, and said happily, "Chu, this away game, our whole family will be in the stands, cheer you on." Mrs. Hans also smiled and said, "When the time comes to score a goal, just run over and celebrate." The 73-year-old man Albert squinted and smiled, "Young man, I think you can score." Anya also nodded silently to Chu Xuan. 6 after this period of German teaching, Chu Xuan can basically speak fluent daily German. Coupled with Chu Xuan's busy training, Anya's school has also opened. The German class for the 2 came to an end. Anya always felt that her heart was not a taste, but she couldn't say why. With her nature, even if some things are stuffy in her heart, she will definitely not show it. She only hoped that when Chu Xuan scored the goal, it would be enough to cheer for him on the field. Unfortunately, Chu Xuan was selected for the squad for the first time and sat on the bench for 90 minutes. The Hans family did not wait for Chu Xuan to appear in the stands. Even the young genius of the youth team, Mario Götze, got the opportunity to play. Dortmund beat Germany's 4th-tier opponents, Wiedenbrück, away from home. A Bundesliga powerhouse, playing in the 4th division, won only 3-1. Even if he wins, the media is still full of verbal criticism of Dortmund. Except for Mario Götze. The 17-year-old youth academy demon scored twice and was crossed by the media. What German football hopeful, the genius who led Germany to the World Cup. Götze was already a little out of the loop at this time and gained widespread attention. Chu Xuan on the bench was still unknown. This was the case in the second round of the DFB Pokal, when Borussia Dortmund beat Bundesliga side Karlsruhe 3-0 away. Chu Xuan was selected for the squad, but still did not have a chance to play, and sat on the sidelines for 90 minutes. The Hans were also waiting in the stands. They drove hundreds of kilometers to the away field just to see Chu Xuan. The victory is good, but it is somewhat boring. During the time that Chu Xuan lived in the Hans family, everyone had long regarded him as their own family. Sebastian even transferred his love for his own son to Chu Xuan. He has always dreamed of one day when his children will wear Dortmund's Hornets shirts and compete at Westphalia. Unfortunately, the stinky boy went to Malegion and never came back. And this muddy boy, put on a battle robe, but did not have the opportunity to fight. Sometimes, Sebastian rushed into the Dortmund headquarters building and confronted Klopp in person. "Jurgen, what the hell do you think? Recruit Chu Xuan to come in, why not give him a chance?" But Chu Xuan was always in no hurry, and he was so sensible that it was distressing. Sebastian could only calm down, carefully take care of Chu Xuan's life, and let him devote himself to training. In September 2009, the Bundesliga is about to face the Bundesliga overlord Bayern Munich in the fifth round. Borussia Dortmund have experienced 1 win, 2 draws and 1 defeat, with 5 points, and are 12th in the Bundesliga table. This is arguably a terrible start. To add insult to injury, Captain Kyle's groin injury worsened and he was no longer able to play in this crucial battle. And this past weekend was the international break, with Barrios, Subotic, Hummels, Nuri Sahin and many other internationals being called. Their physical fitness has not fully recovered and they are not in optimal condition. Contrary to Dortmund's tragic situation, Bayern Munich can be described as strong. Since Robben joined Real Madrid, Robben and the winger Frank Carey have formed a two-winged Robbery combination. Bayern's double knife flow began to gain initial strength, and the record of 3 wins and 1 draw in the first 4 rounds temporarily ranks second in the standings, second only to Schalke 04. Chu Xuan seems to see in Klopp's prophetic plot that the Bundesliga champion this season is Bayern Munich. Dortmund can be regarded as meeting the big boss of the Bundesliga in advance. With weak against strong, with residual formation against the boss in a full state, Dortmund's ending can be imagined. Westphalia is recognized as the home of the Devils in Europe. Every matchday, more than 80,000 die-hard Dort fans cheer on the home team, and the scene is spectacular. It is said that the atmosphere of fans in England is good, and in Germany, Dortmund fans are not left behind. As an established club, Dort fans often come home to support the team for 3 or even 4 generations. There are many die-hard Dort fans like the Hans family. So in the eyes of many Bundesliga players, Dortmund's home stadium can be called the home of hell. Unfortunately, in the focus battle of the 5th round of the Bundesliga, the stadium that used to be noisy fell into a deathly silence. Incredible. Mario Gomez. Heavy hammer to help Bayern tie the score. The second half just started, Robben. He dribbled the ball at high speed along the right side, as if in no man's land. Cut in. Pass it on to Schweinsteiger. Pretty. Robben assists Piggy to win 2-1. Another wonderful goal. Ribery's free kick goes straight into the dead corner of the goal. Bayern lead 3-1 away. Bayern have gone crazy. 4-1. Robben's insider shot is unsolvable. We see that Dort boss Jurgen Klopp seems to be making a substitution. Who will he replace? It doesn't matter, Dortmund has been completely destroyed. With 15 minutes to go, what else can they do? Originally, in the opening stages of the first half, Dortmund used their home advantage to play well. Subotic and scored from a corner kick to give Dortmund a 1-0 lead over Bayern. As a result, before the end of the first half, international Mario Gomez leveled the score, tilting the scales of victory. In the second half, Bayern attacked fiercely, and the double knives of Robben and Ribery repeatedly threatened, stirring up Dortmund's chaos. Schweinsteiger, Ribery, Robben scored consecutive goals to completely crush Dortmund. After 70 minutes of the match, Dortmund, who were playing at home, trailed Westphalia 4-1 and lost their former hustle. The fans' expressions were confused. What the hell is going on? Why was Borussia Dortmund, who signed a number of players before the season, pressed to the ground by Bayern? Kyle in the midfield, Hummels is absent, and it is inevitable to lose the ball. But what's going on with the front line? Nelson Valdez is simply invisible. Egyptian Zizou Zidane knew that he was covered with the ball and ended the attack with a wave shot. Teammates run out of space, and he doesn't pass either. Klopp replaced Gro Cruz successively, and the immortal Tinga wanted to strengthen the attack on the wing. But when the ball was passed into the box, it was easily cleared by Bayern central defenders without threat. Dortmund broke off at both ends of the offensive and defensive ends, and perhaps the game was over. Klopp on the sidelines hugged his arms in silence, and the cap on his head was pressed low and seemed to be on the verge of erupting at any moment. At this time, he subconsciously looked at the bench. There is only one substitution left. Is it to change the back to prevent more goals conceded? Or change to a striker and give it a shot? Currently available forwards, only Chu Xuan. Thinking of this, Klopp waited for a moment, finally gritted his teeth and made up his mind. Chu, you go to warm up. Talk? The coach wants to send Chu Xuan to appear? The teammates on the bench all set their eyes on Chu Xuan. This time he was in the squad, thinking that it would be the same as in previous games, and he would not be able to play. I didn't expect Klopp to send him on at such a moment. Maybe the coach also feels powerless. Okay. Chu Xuan did not hesitate and came to the sidelines to start warming up. In the stands, the Hans family, who had been staring at the bench, suddenly became excited. Look! Is that Chu? Yes, yes, that's him. Is he going to play? Fantastic! After waiting so long, I finally waited for my chance. Even the 73-year-old Albert was excited. The Dortmund fans next to them are basically familiar faces, and they are very curious about it. Sebastian, is there anything magical about that Asian boy? You guys are so tall. Wait, he's staying in your house. I heard it turned out to be an amateur player. Hearing the fans' comments, Sebastian patted his chest proudly. That's right, he is Chu Xuan who lives in my house, the treasure striker that Klopp dug up from England. Is it as godly as you blow? How strong are amateur players? Sebastian smiled mysteriously, you'll know later. The surrounding fans were half convinced, and then Robin drove the ball into the box, causing everyone to exclaim, and they couldn't care about talking about Chu Xuan. A moment later, Chu Xuan finished warming up, and the game time had reached 75 minutes. Klopp grabbed Chu Xuan's shoulder and said seriously. Chu, in fact, I want to give you a chance to adapt in a relatively easy game. This game is not kind to you. But if we want to repay the situation, we need to find a way to score. After you go up, remember to actively return to the defense and fight more to interfere with Schweinsteiger. Then, run free and find a way to score. Can it be done? Chu Xuan looked at Klopp and nodded calmly, don't worry, coach. The goal is given to me. Good, get ready to play. Episode 68. Against Bayern, the shot knocked the Tiger. Borussia Dortmund vs Bayern Munich. Such a Bundesliga highlight has also been broadcast by 5 sets of domestic CCTV. Before the season, the news that Dortmund signed Chu Xuan was noticed by the domestic media. The media picked up Chu Xuan's signing photo from the official website of . Anyone who has watched the World Youth Championships can recognize that the handsome guy in the photo is Chu Xuan. This sensational news instantly triggered a certain repercussion in the domestic football world. Chu Xuan, the star of hope. Chu Xuan of the World Youth Championships. Chu Xuan, who was swept out by the national football team. There is no ball to kick, and Chu Xuan, who has fallen to kick wild balls, actually joined Borussia Dortmund's first team? It seems to be big news, but it is not actually out of the loop. Even many new fans have never heard of Chu Xuan. Later, Chu Xuan never got the opportunity to play, and the domestic media was completely cold. No one paid attention to him anymore. Is this kind of thing still rare? Dong Fangping, Xiao Ji, Li Weifeng and many domestic players who cannot be named. Throughout the season, they can count their playing opportunities on one hand. Everyone had no expectations for Chu Xuan. What's more, in this game against Bayern, how can Klopp let players signed by the amateur team play? CCTV commentator Duan Xian was chatting with director Tao next to him about some miscellaneous things, and suddenly his eyes froze. He even suspected that he was wrong. Talk about reading? We see Chu Xuan actually stood on the sidelines. Duan Xian's voice couldn't help but get a lot louder. The fourth official raised the card, number 9 Valdez was replaced, and number 13 Chu Xuan came on the field. Chu Xuan, once the hopeful star of the national youth team, has returned to our eyes after 4 years and made his Bundesliga debut. Chu Xuan had dreamed of this scene countless times. He stepped into the flat and clean green fungus court with one foot, looked up and looked around, and tens of thousands of people in the audience were crushed in black. Flash! Banner slogan. Scarves in the hands of fans. And the excited expressions on their faces. It's a pity that every time he is in a dream, the moment he plays, time will be frozen. It was as if the mute button had been pressed by the remote control, and everything was silent. Then every time the arena would be pulled away infinitely, become dark, and finally disappear. At this time, Chu Xuan would wake up from his dream, sit up and silently be in a daze for a moment. But this time, when Chu Xuan stood on the sidelines, he saw the fourth official next to him who was holding up the sign. See teammate Valdez trotting down from the field. Looking up at the yellow sea around them, the nearly 80,000 Dortmund fans did not darken and disappear this time, and the picture did not freeze. The originally blurred singing voice is getting clearer and clearer. It's Dortmund's team anthem. We are firmly loyal together. Cheers for football. Dortmund. Never lose courage and confidence in the face of any opponent. Cheers for football. Dortmund. Valdez came to the sidelines panting. Chu Xuan truly felt the power coming from the high five. Over to you, Chu. This time, when Chu Xuan stepped into the court, everything he felt did not disappear, but became clearer. The figure of Chu Xuan at the World Youth Championship once seemed to overlap with Chu Xuan at this moment. Back. Finally, back. Ding. Debut in the German Bundesliga and earn dream points, 10,000. This month there is money chlorine again. Chu Xuan ran into the arena with a firm step, his eyes full of beastly longing. We see. Chu Xuan is here. He replaced underperforming striker Valdez. This is Chu Xuan's Bundesliga debut. Once the hope star of the national youth team, after disappearing, it has returned to our eyes in another way. Welcome back, Chu Xuan. Duan Xian was very excited to see such a scene, and he also watched the live broadcast of the World Youth Championships that year. Later, Chu Xuan's encounter made him sigh. I didn't expect to see him perform on the stage of the top league one day. However, the Com Tao guide also pointed out next to him, it's a pity that the situation in Dortmund is very unfavorable now. By the time Bayern scored the third goal, they had already secured their ground and fought defensively. The bilateral threat from Robben and Ribery is quite great. That's how the last goal came about. Coupled with Dortmund's poor morale, there are only 15 minutes left for Chu Xuan. Duan Xian also helplessly sighed. Yes, according to the news of the European media, Chu Xuan seems to have lost his previous speed and explosive power. He's just an opportunistic striker right now. Without the support of his teammates, I'm afraid it will be difficult for Chu Xuan to have much effect. Maybe Klopp just sent Chu Xuan to the field to experience and feel the atmosphere of virtue, Duan Xian said. Chu Xuan has come to the field, sees the time and the core of the midfield. Nuri Shaheen communication. They defend heavily in the middle, pull on the side, and then find the opportunity to shove straight into the ribs. Don't be afraid, try a few more times. Hearing Klopp's arrangement, Nuri Shaheen nodded towards Chu Xuan. It seems that the coach wants to create an opportunity for Chu Xuan. Anyway, now it is also behind, and the passing adventure point is at most beaten counterattack. It is better to fight. A handful. What's more, Chu Xuan's ability to run without the ball, Nuri Shaheen knows very well. In the team's training match, every time Sha Xian found a gap, Chu Xuan could always think of going with him. As a passer, he is most afraid that after he has an idea, no one will cooperate with the position. Since Chu Xuan can land in time, whether he can break in or not, at least he can create a threat. Nuri Shaheen suddenly gained a few points of confidence. Race resumed. Borussia Dortmund set up a goal kick and started possession at the back. Bayern Munich, with a 3-goal gap, is very solid. They do not press to fight, but stabilize the defense, forming an airtight barrier. As for Chu Xuan, who just appeared, Bayern didn't know much about him. The players only know that it is said that this dragon country is said to be from the amateur team, and it is indeed a bit strange to come off the bench in the Bundesliga. Even young defender Bartestaber was chatting with Ram next to him. You say, why send an amateur player on the other side? The result was lightly reminded by Ram. What about the game? Concentrate. Ram is a senior of the German team and Bayern's vice-captain. Bartestubel could only smile and focus on the game. After Chu Xuan came on the field, Dortmund tried to attack from the wing. Assigned to the left, Grosskreutz tries to break through, and Ram is fast straight to entangle him. Return to Shaheen, developed to the right side of Yanga. The Tinga ball was broken. Fortunately, he chased back in time and snatched the ball back. Pass back to Shaheen. Duan Xian explained in a calm tone. Chu Xuan did not bring much change, the scene was still unremarkable. He did not expect that at this moment, the situation on the field suddenly changed. Talk. Suddenly a kick in the middle of the road. Chu Xuan came out, he received the ball. Ride to the edge of the zone. Bayern form a bag. Hit it directly. Bang. Chu Xuan's sudden attack was blocked by Fan Bai's knees and feet, and he smashed heavily on the pillar. Metaphorically. Bayern's back line suddenly jumped and felt a trace of fear. And Chu Xuan, who finished hitting the goal, spouted expressionlessly, as if the shot that knocked on the mountain and shook the tiger just now was just warming up. Causal law shot, 1/4. Although he did not score, Chu Xuan's domineering shot rekindled the enthusiasm of more than 80,000 Dortmund fans. Deafening applause rang out like a tsunami. The Hans family in the stands was even more excited and joined the fans singing. Anya looked at Chu Xuan on the field and silently clenched her small fists. Rush! Chu Xuan! Let the whole Bundesliga remember your name. Episode 69. Danger! Let one give. Cambridgeshire, England, on the campus of the University of Cambridge. There was a slender woman with flowing blonde hair and elf-like maneuvering through the crowd. Such a stunning beauty also aroused the side eyes of the surrounding Cambridge students. Who is that? You don't even know her? She is a freshman in the School of Finance and is recognized as the #1 beauty. Oh? Is there a chance to ask her out? Stop dreaming. The eldest lady is often surrounded by bodyguards, and she will not talk to any boys, so be dead. Well, it's a shame. It's strange to say, she should be a wealthy lady, usually very elegant. I have never seen her in such a hurry. Are you in a hurry to see your boyfriend? Damn it! In the midst of the crowd's discussion, Elena quickly ran from the library to her dormitory and slammed in. Yay! Oh, it's you, it scares me to death. The roommate in the house panicked, but saw that Elena ignored it, rushed in and turned on the computer. I've never seen you in such a hurry, what's the situation? Hurry to watch the game. It's almost over, damn it. Elena was very anxious to open the computer and find the live broadcast page. Real Madrid's match today. No, Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga. What do you think the Bundesliga does? The roommate looked sideways, but saw Elena staring at the screen, looking confused. In the picture, a handsome young man with an Eastern face appears, and his eyes reveal determination. The roommate was immediately shocked. Oh, my God! Elena, who has always been otherworldly, was actually moved. How else is it possible to watch unrelated Bundesliga matches? Sheffield city centre, Chu Xuan cuisine. At this time, it is the peak period of the restaurant, and the restaurant is very popular, and both international students and locals like to eat here. The restaurant has new customers coming every day. Soon after these new customers sat down, they found that many regular customers and restaurateurs were gathered in front of the television. On TV, it is not a Premier League drama, but a Bundesliga game. Borussia Dortmund vs Bayern Munich. Hornet Dort is temporarily 1:4 behind. The scene is very passive. Some new customers can't understand and beckon to ask the duty manager. I'm sorry, why are everyone watching the Bundesliga? Is it important for Dort to play Bayern? The duty manager is Chu Xuan, who occasionally comes to the restaurant to help. She smiled proudly, because it may be Chu Xuan's debut, we will watch every game recently. At this moment, an exclamation erupted on the other side of the TV. Chu! He came out. Finally waited. Wow! Just 1 minute into the game formed a shot. It is worthy of Chu. Chu Qian couldn't hold back at this time, turned around and came to the TV to watch the game seriously. Other customers in the restaurant were also attracted by the competition. The new customer who asked the question just now remembered Chu Xuan's name. It turns out that the young man who drew with Liverpool made an appearance in the Bundesliga so quickly. If Chu Xuan's goalpost just now was an accident, the Bayern players thought they were inattentive. Next, when Chu Xuan slammed the door for the second time, they sensed that something was wrong. Borussia Dortmund took a corner, Nuri Sahin drove the ball to the center of the box and Van Beeten jumped high to push the ball out of the box. Who knew that the Dragon Country teenager suddenly appeared on the outside of the penalty area, and before Schweinsteiger could control the football, he rushed up to complete another long-range shot. Bang! The football turns into a cannonball and slams into the goal. Chu Xuan! Cold arrows suddenly cast outside the restricted area. The commentator Duan Xian couldn't help but shout. Danger! Bayern goalkeeper Lenzing was taken aback, instinctively jumped up and dragged the ball off the crossbar with one hand. Then he couldn't contain the momentum, and even hit the doorpost hard. The audience was in an uproar. Schweinsteiger was dumbfounded, and he couldn't figure it out. When did that kid come up? He could even be one step faster. Causal law shot, 2/4. Once again, the Dortmund fans gave a round of applause. Chu Xuan's 2-foot shot was really morale-lifting. Let Bayern be embarrassed every time. He has only been on the pitch for 3 minutes and has already formed 2 threatening shots. When did we have such a #1 person on the team? Previously, most Dort fans would not even care about the humble signing information on the official website. Some people didn't even know about Chu Xuan yet. Someone noticed and didn't take it seriously. What can a striker who paid 500,000 to sign from an amateur team? Unexpectedly, the main striker Valdez was invisible for several games, and Chu Xuan forced Bayern to be very embarrassed as soon as he came on the field. Could it be that Klopp really found the treasure? Fans can't help but start looking forward to it. Chu Xuan's shot is really more threatening than a kick. After a serious injury, he completely changed the way he played. It seems that he is stealth, and before the critical moment, Chu Xuan will stand up and deliver a fatal blow. Dortmund get another corner kick. With the first two shots on goal, Bayern players are almost like enemies, and their nerves are tight. Schweinsteiger, Timoschuk, plus Van Beeten in the box. The eyes of the three people were almost inseparable from Chu Xuan. I was afraid that if I didn't pay attention, I would be slipped away by Chu Xuan. Under the experienced bag defense, Bayern finally did not let Chu Xuan get a chance. The tall defender Van Beeten relied on his strong body and squeezed lightly, making Chu Xuan lose his position. He easily cleared the ball. Seeing this, the visiting Bayern fans finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that the two shots just now are a little scary, and the tacky people in front of him may not be as powerful as he imagined. Maybe his first two shots were blind cats and dead rats. It feels the same. It seems that he has average speed and strength, and there is no threat. Bayern fans talked about Chu Xuan. Fans on the pitch are often impressed by fast horses with speed and excellent technique. Or a midfield commander with a kick. Chu Xuan's opportunistic striker didn't seem to be anything special. It's just luck. This is also the voice of most Bayern fans. Now that it's been 80 minutes and 3 goals ahead, what else does Dortmund want to make? As everyone knows, for Bayern defenders, forwards like Chu Xuan are difficult to target. The well-trained Bayern players have begun to focus on Chu Xuan. Just as Dortmund formed another attack, Tinga dribbled the ball along the flank and directly came with a low cross to sweep in front of the goal. In the penalty area, among the many figures wearing black away shirts, a yellow shadow came out like a ghost. Chu Xuan. Oops. Since Chu Xuan was invisible for a while, the young defender Bard Stumer was slightly negligent. Seeing that Chu Xuan suddenly rushed from the side, he quickly stuck it up and slammed into Chu Xuan. Chu Xuan's strength was still relatively not dominant, and his body balance was affected. The final shot failed to show strength, and the ball was held by goalkeeper Lenson. Oh! Tens of thousands of Dortmund fans made a sound of chagrin. Foul. Penalty kick. Foul. Penalty kick. However, there was no movement in Baaderstabel's hands, and it was a normal confrontation, and the referee would not award a penalty. Duan Xian, the CCTV commentator in the studio, couldn't help but admire Chu Xuan's performance. Chu Xuan's running position is really flexible, and his sense of grabbing points is excellent. This ball is quite threatening. Director Tao said helplessly on the side, Baaderstabel's body was relatively strong, and Chu Xuan suffered a slight loss. Both Duan Xian and Director Tao expressed regret that the goal was not scored. Time is running out and every shot is critical. However, Chu Xuan's own expression was very relaxed. Because he's saved up enough buffs. Causal law shot, 3/4. Before Chu Xuan appeared, the fans were actually a little desperate, and some even wanted to leave early. Chu Xuan appeared in the latter. In just a few minutes, he has threatened the Bayern goal many times. He rekindled the enthusiasm of the fans. Everyone is holding their breath. Even if you lose the game by a big score, you have to score him another goal. The fans sang the Dortmund anthem again and cheered for the team. Cheer for Chu Xuan, who has performed well. Never lose courage and confidence in the face of any opponent. Cheers for football. Dortmund. Episode 70. The Divine Dragon swings its tail. Chu Xuan's first goal in the Bundesliga. The game continued, and the Bayern Munich defense was repeatedly attacked by the little-known Chu Xuan, and everyone was a little worried. The coach on the sidelines, the old coach Hinks, hurriedly let the team recover a little and strengthen the defense. Klopp saw that Chu Xuan created a lot of threats after coming on the field, and simply waved his hand and signaled the team to launch a fierce attack. Time is running out. Chu Xuan, I hope to give me a surprise. Dortmund formed a forward pressure and seized the time to launch a siege against Bayern. Shaheen, give it to Chi Dan. Pretty, he and his teammates on the left complete consecutive wall collisions. Schmelzer came up and got a direct cross. Oops, this ball is a half-high ball. Duan Xian saw that Schmelzer's ball was not passed, and the arc was very low, just at the position of the waist. Although the ball is fast, the strikers are not good at shooting. Chu Xuan was firmly stuck in position, and there was no way to rush to the top. Lifting your foot to shoot is too high again. Most of the time, this cross will float to the other side and fly off the line. At the critical moment, Chu Xuan made an incredible move again. I saw that he was stuck in position by Van Beaten, simply leaned on Van Beaten, turned his back to the goal, and slammed a backspin kick without warning. Chu Xuan moved to everyone's surprise. In the astonished eyes of the audience, everyone watched Chu Xuan blindly slam the ball towards the goal with unconventional movements. Goalkeeper Lenzing simply did not have time to react. Football has been drilled into the net with lightning speed. Hey! This ball! This ball! Scored! Chu Xuan! Chu Xuan scored his first goal in his Bundesliga debut. When Duan Xuanhan's voice came out of the TV, the fans didn't even react. Enter! Scored? Can this go in? In fact, Chu Xuan was not sure if his backspinning kick could hit the goal range. He can't even guarantee that he will touch the ball. But he was entangled in Van Beaten, and even said firmly grasped the situation. It is no longer possible to get rid of the running position in time. Fortunately, Schmelzer's pass was directed at himself, and he simply didn't think too much. The blessing of the law of cause and effect, let alone Van Beaten, even if Cannavaro, Maldini, Puyol, Beckenbauer and other legendary defenders are soul-possessed. He can't stop Lao from scoring goals. Chu Xuan simply didn't look at it, turned his back to the goal, used Van Beaten as a support point, and used excellent flexibility to use his left foot as the axis. Standard backspin kick. The dragon swings its tail. Bang! Between the electric light and flint, when Chu Xuan's heel touched the football hard, he was sure. This ball has it. So when Chu Xuan completed this shocking divine dragon swing tail, all the players on the field had not yet reacted to the situation. Chu Xuan didn't even look back to confirm the goal, he had already rushed to the south stand. He used to play in the English Amateur League, that iconic set of celebratory moves. Today is finally officially debuted in the Bundesliga. Under the capture of countless shots, under the witness of the eyes of the audience, Chu Xuan came to the south stand of Dort's diehard loyalists, ran a few steps, and soared up like a rocket. Turn around in the air and land firmly on the ground. Chu 13. Chu Xuan's name also appeared in the Bundesliga for the first time, and it was displayed in front of the TV for the first time. The Hans family was ecstatic, and when Chu Xuan rushed towards the south stand, they frantically rushed to the stand. With Chu Xuan's celebration, call loudly. Chu! Although Dortmund fans were not familiar with Chu Xuan at this time, they failed to form a large-scale echo of Stokes Bridge. But as long as Chu Xuan keeps scoring, sooner or later, all 80,000 people in the audience will chant Chu Xuan's name in unison. CCTV commentator Duan Xian could not suppress the joy in his heart at this time. When the team is 3 goals behind, Chu Xuan came off the bench and was on the verge of being ordered. And in the 82nd minute of the game, he scored a wonderful goal with an unconventional dragon swing. This is Chu Xuan's first Bundesliga goal. It is also the third Dragon Country player to score in the Bundesliga after Yang Chen and Xiao Jie. Chu Xuan's celebratory actions are quite characteristic. He seems to be trying to tell the world that the one star of hope has been reborn. Duan Xian's mood seemed to be a little unstable at this time, and Director Tao next to him quickly took over the conversation and analyzed. It seems that Chu Xuan seems to be lucky and casually hit the ball. But judging by slow motion, the situation is not simple. After the previous attacks, Bayern's defenders are very afraid of Chu Xuan's ability to run without the ball. They chose to use their bodies to restrict Chu Xuan. Van Beaten is experienced, and he often uses small movements to pull and interfere with Chu Xuan. This ball almost hugged Chu Xuan, making him unable to play the advantage of flexibility. But Chu Xuan was bold and careful, calculated and used good physical coordination to complete this unconventional shot. It can be seen that he is very sure of his own door, and he is not blind. Duan Xian also let out a signature smile at this time. Haha, Chu Xuan's divine dragon swing tail made me sound EV. He often scored similar goals. Yes, Ibrahimovic has learned Taekwondo, could it be that Chu Xuan has also learned Kung Fu? The topic was deflected by Duan Xian. No one knew that Chu Xuan's Kung Fu was completely wild. In football schools, youth teams, fields, fighting clashes are simply commonplace. Even if Chu Xuan did not take the initiative to provoke trouble, his former youth and frivolity would inevitably be involved in various battles. Therefore, he has long practiced the ability to fight on the street. That backspin kick can even be a little higher and directly explode people's heads. Chu Xuan's goal gave Dortmund a glimmer of hope. Teammates gathered around and patted Chu Xuan's shoulder to celebrate with him. Even Groskrutz, who was prejudiced against him, grinned unnaturally. Oh, good luck. You can score without looking. But he also gradually realized that Chu Xuan might have real skills. Why was Valdez present for 75 minutes and almost invisible? Within a few minutes of Chu Xuan's appearance, he had threatened the goal many times and recovered a goal. Maybe this amateur striker is really not that amateur? Of course, after Chu Xuan Shenlong swung his tail to pull back a goal, Bayern was dazed for a moment, and soon returned to normal. With the psychological quality of a big team like Bayern, how about being poured a goal? Anyway, there are only 5 minutes left in the next step, and you have the ability to enter 2 more. They not only strengthened their focus on Chu Xuan, but also tried to force Chu Xuan out of the forbidden area. At the same time, the strength of the counterattack has been strengthened, and the impact of Robben and Ribery has been used to create a threat. As long as the ball is passed long, the speed and technique of these two have counterattacked one by one. As a matter of common sense, there is nothing wrong with Bayern's strategy. When you meet other teams, you basically win. But Chu Xuan's existence is itself a variable, and it makes no sense. Chu Xuan shuttled through the restricted area for a moment and quickly realized that Bayern had strengthened his watch. The guards stand more closely and concentrate more. The timing of the appearance of the phantom was getting shorter and shorter, and Chu Xuan didn't even have time to run into place, and the gap was blocked. Only when he takes the initiative to pull out of the box will Bayern's defense be slightly looser. Chu Xuan suddenly had an idea. He had another skill that didn't come in handy. Just in real combat to test the water. In the 87th minute of the match, Dortmund attacked. Shaheen, Zidane and Tinga made successive passes on the right flank for feints, drawing Bayern's forces to the right. Suddenly, Shaheen turned the muzzle sharply, and the precise long pass was transferred to the left flank. The ball was slightly high, and Groskrutz could only jump with a header. And near him, only Chu Xuan answered in the gap. That's it. Faced with the opportunity, the big cross decisively headed the ball to Chu Xuan. According to the trained tactics, Chu Xuan should go straight to the left after receiving the ball and let the big cross from the left. Bayern are also aware of the situation. Ram firmly held his position and did not come to defend Chu Xuan. Who knew that Chu Xuan faced the incoming ball, gave way, lay down a step inside, and raised his foot to hit. Hey! You are a man! Groskrutz immediately became anxious. Chu Xuan did not act according to the tactics. Klopp's tactics for the players are not particularly strict, and the players have their own room for adaptability. As long as you have confidence, you can improvise it. But Chu Xuan obviously does not have superior long-range shooting ability, and most of the shots are completed in the penalty area. Why is it so wavering? Waste of opportunity. You can afford this responsibility. What? That's awesome! The big cross cursed and complained, and as a result, he saw the shot outside Chu Xuan's penalty area and pulled out an extremely beautiful arc. He blurted out in an instant, forgetting his own complaint. At this moment, Chu Xuan is a special god. I saw that the football turned into a flashing full moon scimitar, cut through the space, and hung into the dead corner of the goal. Bayern goalkeeper Lenzing is out of reach. A kick outside the Chu Xuan forbidden area. Wow! Wow! Pregnant! Come in! Duan Xian shouted excitedly again. Chu Xuan's long-range shot this time was too unexpected. All were a little surprised. He turned out to be so decisive and kicked a long-range shot with excellent arcs and angles. Even if the ball speed is not too fast, the tricky angle still makes Lenzing powerless. After a brief lull, the Westphalia Stadium erupted with deafening again. Deaf cheers. The whole stadium is shaking. Before Chu Xuan could do it, he was pressed to the ground by the big cross that was so excited that he went crazy, and then his teammates all pounced. Chu! Bull batch! So handsome! Love you! Chu Xuan simply convinced these teammates. Roll on! Time is running out, hurry up and enter another one. From 1:4 to 3:4, the substitute Chu Xuan has become the savior of Dortmund. Fans are already looking forward to it. With 3 minutes to go, we can still score. Chu Xuan can also score small goals.